Hello, my name is Luis Alvarez, and today I'll be discussing GMOS. And the topic we got is against. The brief history on GMOS. GMOS consists of the modification of plants, animals, or organisms. This topic can be seen from two different points of view, one being against and the other one being for it. The genetic modification on animals started in 1980 as a result of having better breeding and feeding stocks. Some of the concerns which they fear are the alternating the natural state of organism, which may lead to many different diseases on humans and animals. GMO's effects on humans. Many doctors recommend to prescribe non-GMO diets to all patients. Studies have shown that GM foods can leave material behind inside of a person, and on the long run, they can cause problems to your health. Groups such as the AAM stated that numerous health problems increased after GMOs were introduced in 1996. The percentage of Americans with 3 or more chronic illness jumped from 3% to 13% in just 9 years. Food allergies rocketed, and disorders such as autism, reproductive disorders, and digestive problems. The American Public Health Association and American Nurse Associations are among the many of medical groups who don't condemn the genetic modification on cows whose milk can link up with cancer. GMOs in the world. A report conducted in 2008 by over 400 international scientists who did not endorse the genetic modification on crops such as the solution for world hunger. In many countries, especially the low-income ones who cannot afford expensive fertilizers or modified seeds, describe the importance of organic agriculture over genetic modified ones. One of the many experiments done to end world hunger was the golden rice. This was done by incorporating beta-carotene into a rice grain. This was done to help malnourished people who were suffering from vitamin A deficiency. A genetic modified rice has taken nearly 20 years to produce and has cost millions of dollars to the country. GMOs will continue. The reports have shown that one individual must consume 3 kilos a day to increase their intake of vitamin A. On the other hand, public health innovative led by Philippines reduced the vitamin A deficiency in children from 40% to 15%, and this was done on a fraction of cost, unlike the golden rice. Another example was the genetic modified food fail was in Africa, where genetic modified sweet potatoes and corn crops, which was a goal to have larger crops, at the end failed. The sweet potato was a 12-year project which cost the World Bank and the U.S. aid $6 million. GMOs crops. Most of the genetic modified crops are engineered to herbicide tolerant, known as a weed killer. Between 1996 and 2008, farmers sprayed an extra 383 million pounds of herbicide on genetic modified crops, resulting in the superweed, which are resistant to herbicide. As the effect, farmers now have to waste more money by mixing different genetic modified pesticides may unleash a host of unpredictable side effects. The process of creating genetic modified plants can result in massive collateral damage that will produce new toxins, allergies, or electricity deficiency.
Hi, my name is Harmanpreet Sandhu, and I will be putting a reflection on ethical aspects involved in animal use. GMOs underscores the molarity of nature. The modification of the genetic composition represents an infringement of animals' dignity. Procedures for GMOs undermine 2002 APA's ethic code. GMO subjects animal to stress, pain, or privation in the absence of alternative surgical procedures. Manipulation causes animal suffering, and by virtue of being works of creation, human beings may not wish to experience the same. The genetic composition of an organism is the very core of its existence. Alterations would make them bad, raising concerns of essential dignity. Food is profoundly cultural and social. Resting GMOs is important in the sustenance of the naturalistic fallacy, a concept that has helped maintain and even define cultural practices. Animal and plant products are culturally accepted by virtue of being natural and would not be if they were unnatural. Allowing genetically modified organisms undermines the divine nature. Altering the genetic makeup of plants and animals trigger allergies or and even diseases, and and this poses a risk of eliminating an entire population. GMOs carry a higher risk of uncertainty. There is fear that new allergies and unpredicted illness could arise from gene interactions of different creatures, altering the social fabric. Against. While GMOs is a vital in ensuring food security in the world, it is not appropriate as it is an alternation of nature as God created it. The nature creation by God was in such a manner that it could balance on itself and even more from the food chain. This is an evi that concept. It is merely human lack of satisfaction that has led to such ideas as GMOs, which undermines human and animal ethics. GMOs could have significant adverse impacts on human life. There is a need of alternative means of production through natural reproduction. Knowledge of material. While there are advantages of GMOs, their negative outweigh them. Most of the core foods have some levels of genetic modifications, including commercialized crops such as soybean, corn, and cotton. Sugar beets grown at commercial levels are 90% and above GMO. Most of the crops fed to the animals in the United States and GMO crops, and as a result, the groceries based on the animal protein are significantly affected. GMOs ingredients are found in seafood, milk, animal muscle tissue, and eggs. In instances where bees pollinate genetically modified crops, they produce honey having GMO ingredients.
Hi, my name is Cambria Hicks, and I'm going to be talking about the social concerns with GMOs and the cultural and current events. Social concerns with GMOs. Is it ethical to genetically modify farm animals for agriculture? When many people hear the word GMOs, they automatically think about the radiation and chemicals used to induce gene mutations in our crops and animals. This is because of the social concern behind GMOs. Genetically modifying farm animals has been around for a while, and many people have their own thoughts about it. Some may have beliefs against it and that it harms the animals, and some may see a need for a genetic modification. Not only are people upset that they are growing our food in unnatural ways, people also believe it is unethical and socially incorrect to modify the way an animal grows. Some people believe that we shouldn't be trying to play God and alter life. After doing some research, I found disturbing evidence that proves the real harm these GMOs can do to animals. Torturing animals with GMOs. Experimenting new chemicals and hormones in animals is dangerous, and it's hard to be sure that what they are doing to the animals is ethical. Dr. Art Dunham, an Iowa veterinarian, has treated farm animals for several decades. In an article written in 2013, he states that calves are born too weak to walk, with enlarged joints and limb deformities. Piglets experience rapidly deteriorating health, a failure to thrive, so severe that they start breaking down their own tissues and organs, self-cannibalizing to survive. Many animals suffer from weak, brittle bones that easily fracture. Dairy cows develop a painful udder infection, beef cattle develop liver abscesses, and an excruciating condition referred to as twisted gut. Not only is it unnatural for these animals to be put through these experiences, after all the genetic modifications and chemicals, these foods are serious risk factors for illness and disease. GMOs in cultural and current events. For years, scientists have tried to figure out how exactly GMOs are harming the ecosystem. I found a study that shows the results of before and after the use of GMOs. What's interesting about this study is that it is the largest research study to date, measuring from 1998 to 2011 for 14 years. This study, done by an associate economics professor, Federico Siliberto, examined how genetically modified soybeans and maize have negatively impacted pesticide use in the United States. Federico states that despite the decrease in insecticide use, continued growth in herbicide use poses a significant environmental problem, as large doses of the chemicals can harm biodiversity and increase water and air pollution. Siliberto and his colleagues measured the overall environmental impact of the changes in chemical use that have resulted from the adoption of genetically modified crops using a measure called the Environmental Impact Quotient, or EIQ. to account for chemicals' impacts on farm workers, consumers, and the environment. Comparing adopters to non-adopters, they found little change in the impact on farm workers and consumers. However, the adoption of genetically modified soybeans correlated with a negative impact on the environment, as increased herbicide use also increased contamination of local ecosystems. Summarized, while it is acceptable that animals should get used for human ends, the purpose for which they get used must convey some benefit to the entire world. They have been linked to serious health risks, including infertility, immune problems, accelerating aging, and more. The GMO process of transferring genetic material from one species to another raises potentially serious health issues. There is a possibility of new diseases from genetically engineered animals spreading to non-genetically engineered animals and humans. Many embryos that undergo genetic engineering do not survive. By altering these animals, we are taking away their rights and putting their health and our health at risk. GMOs pose a threat to the social and cultural fabric on which the society is based. Fun fact, a third generation of most hamsters fed with GMOs were unable to have babies. Also, female rats fed with GMOs showed changes in ovaries and uterus. In the 1980s, a contaminated brand of food supplement called L-tritopsin killed about one. Can you cut that out? I'm trying to read his handwriting and I'm like, what the fuck does this say?